I know exactly what I should have dialed. Area code 614. 7 numbers after that. I've had them memorized since 1963. I still have them memorized now. My brother Daniel died in March of 2019, and I never called him. Not in 32 years. Not once. People ask me what my biggest regret is, and I give them something smaller, something they can handle, something I can say without my hands starting to shake. This is the real one. We grew up in Zanesville, Ohio. Our father worked at the pottery works on the east side of town. The whole neighborhood smelled like clay and river water in the summer. Daniel was 6 years younger than me. I taught him to ride a bike in the alley behind the house. I drove him to his first job interview in my father's truck because he was too nervous to ask for a ride. We weren't a family that talked about things directly. You worked. You showed up. You didn't make a ceremony out of caring for somebody because they already knew. I spent 34 years at a steel parts plant. Supervisor the last 18. You learned fast that a man who repeats himself loses authority. You said what needed to be said once, clearly, and you meant it. That was how our father operated. His father before him. Words were for decisions, not for feelings. There was a telephone in our kitchen. Cream-colored, heavy as a brick, rotary dial, mounted on the wall right next to the window. My mother used to stand there with the cord wrapped twice around her wrist and talk for 45 minutes like it cost her nothing at all. That phone outlasted her. It outlasted my marriage. It's still there. I never replaced it. When my mother died in 1987, she left the house to both of us. Equal. Daniel had been closer to her those last few years. He'd been the one taking her to appointments, sitting with her when the nights got bad. I knew that. I won't pretend I didn't know that. But I was the eldest, and somewhere in my chest, something old and stupid decided that counted for more than it did. We disagreed about the house. I wanted to sell. He wanted to keep it. We had the kind of conversation that isn't really about a house. I told him he didn't understand what responsibility looked like. He told me I hadn't been present enough. He was right. I wasn't going to say so. I hung up the phone. I thought, he'll cool down. He'll call when he's ready to be reasonable. I was the elder brother. I was not going to call first. The first year I didn't call, I told myself it was principle. The second year I told myself he owed me an apology. By the third year I had stopped framing it as a conflict and started treating it like furniture. You arrange your life around it. After a while you don't even see it. That's the part nobody tells you about long silences. They don't stay painful. They go quiet, and quiet is much more dangerous than pain, because you stop checking on it. I heard things about Daniel through cousins over the years. He got married in 1991. 2 kids. Moved to Columbus. Worked for the county. I absorbed each piece of information the way you absorb news about a town you used to live in. Present tense. No urgency. My daughter asked me once, she must have been 16 or 17, why we didn't see Uncle Daniel anymore. I told her we'd had a disagreement about the house after her grandmother passed. She looked at me the way young people look at adults when they think they're witnessing something foolish, and they've decided not to say it. She didn't push. I appreciated that then. I've thought about that look many times since. There were moments, I won't pretend otherwise. A Sunday evening in the fall of 1997. I was standing in the kitchen getting a glass of water, and I walked past that phone on the wall, that same cream-colored phone. And I thought, I could just call. I stood there for longer than I would admit. The cord was hanging the same way it always hung. My hand didn't move. That was the closest I ever came. I don't fully understand what I was protecting by that point. The original cause of the argument had dissolved years before. What remained was something worse. The weight of every day I hadn't called, making the next day heavier than the one before it. You reach a threshold where making the call becomes less about resolving a disagreement and more about accounting for what the silence itself meant. And I wasn't prepared to do that accounting. My wife never addressed it directly, but I noticed every December that Daniel's Christmas card was in the stack on the kitchen table, even the years I didn't sign it. She was a measured woman, considerably smarter than me. She passed in 2014. After that, the house got quieter, and I started walking past that phone differently. Daniel's daughter found me online in April of 2019. I remember because it had rained for nearly 2 weeks and the yard was in rough shape. She sent me a message through a website my daughter had set up for me. She said her father had passed in March. Pancreatic cancer. It moved fast. She said he had asked, near the end, whether I might come. They hadn't known how to reach me. I read it twice. Then I went and sat in the kitchen. That cream-colored phone was on the wall, right where it had always been. I looked at it for a long time. Not at the message, not at anything else. Just at that phone, and at the cord hanging the same way it hung in 1987, when I decided not to call first. 32 years. I had 32 years to pick it up. The following week, I finally asked my daughter whether Daniel had ever tried to reach me. She got very still. Then she said yes. Once. Around 2003 or 2004. He had called the house. She had answered. She was home from college for the summer. He had asked whether I was home. She had told him I was out. He had said, "Tell him I called. Tell him I said hello." She said she'd meant to pass it along. She had written it on the back of a grocery receipt and put it beside the phone. She thought she'd mentioned it. She wasn't certain. It had been so long ago. I didn't say anything. What was there to say? He called. He called once. I'm 79 years old. I don't sleep the way I used to. Some nights I lie there and I go through the inventory. The things I got right. The ones I let drift. The choices that hardened into facts before I understood I was choosing. That phone is still in the kitchen. I should have replaced it decades ago. I don't know why I haven't. People tell me there was nothing to be done by the time I knew. They mean it kindly. But here's the thing about 32 years. Every single one of them had the same 24 hours. Every single one of them had that phone on the wall. It was never disconnected. The number never changed. I knew it by heart. It's not grief that keeps me up at night. Grief I could have managed. It's the arithmetic.